So this is Louis, and for today we're going to be talking about this Burger King ad, which is now making the rounds on Twitter, and I'm sure is going to be covered by other people, because if you think hard about it, it's actually a fairly offensive ad if you actually put some thought into what's being displayed here, because it's dealing with mental health. What this is supposed to be representing on the surface is an advertisement that is supposed to be bringing up the topic of mental health issues during Mental Health Recognition Month or whatever bullshit cockamamie thing that's been invented for the sake of trying to justify what is, in essence, outrage marketing. Outrage marketing is something that I've talked about before with the Nike Kaepernick ad, with the Gillette ad. I believe I did a video for that. Maybe I'll find that and present it to you to go watch. But that is what this is. This is outrage marketing. The point of outrage marketing is, as far as I can tell, to take a brand that is usually part of, like, it's a subsidiary company to a much larger brand. That seems to be the theme that I've noticed here. I can't speak for Nike, but with Burger King, that's true. Burger King is actually a subsidiary to Restaurant Brands International, which is one of these huge food conglomerates. Like, they own a bunch of different things like Popeyes, Tim Hortons. Like, they own a bunch of different, like, brand name food places. And it's the difference between a coffee place or a fast food place, what have you, or a niche kind of food place. They own a bunch of different brands, in particular with Restaurant Brands International. And it's similar to Procter & Gamble, who are the owners of Gillette. Very similar in that with Burger King and with Gillette, they appear to be properties or assets of this larger company that are stagnant. Burger King, as far as I can tell, is doing better than Gillette, for their parent company. Burger King is doing better as an asset than Gillette is doing for Procter & Gamble, because with Procter & Gamble, it seems as though that a bunch of their brands are actually doing fairly well. Their assets are actually bringing in profit, but one of the problems they have is that they're so deeply invested in Gillette that it's actually weighing down the overall value of their company. And despite the fact that, as far as I can tell, they have, positive aspects of their company, like growth and profit and that sort of thing, these assets that they own are not bringing in enough to justify the share price or whatever sort of market speculation sort of nonsense. Like, it seems to be something that is being reported on by people that are in the know in regards to sort of corporate affairs and investment, that Gillette is a bad asset for Procter & Gamble. And in similar fashion, with Restaurant Brands International, Burger King is nowhere near as big as many of the other fast food places, according to what I've read, and they're in no way as big of an asset as some of the other subsidiaries owned by this particular company, which I'll shorten to RBI. I'll present all the articles that I've looked up on this just for you to go look at this yourself. The other thing in relation to Burger King that I'm going to speculate on, because we don't know yet, in relation to this particular controversial ad, is that A, I believe it to be outrage marketing because the company is not performing. And so what this is a Hail Mary strategy. This is, Burger King is stagnating. We want to generate interest. We want to try to generate views and clicks and people saying Burger King, Burger King, Burger King. So it puts it in your mind and you go buy a burger at Burger King. So we'll do this gross ad, and we'll set it as though that it's supposed to be something that is both woke and also speaking out on something that is a real issue in the United States, which is mental health concerns, and more predominantly with older men, boomers, men my father's age and maybe a little bit younger actually, suicide. It's a real serious issue, and I've seen Sargon repeating the talking point that's ultimately true, that in overseas, in the UK, the biggest killer of men between the ages of whatever and whatever, 35 and whatever, probably 35 and 50, is suicide. It's the biggest killer out of anything. And in that sense, it's something that should be taken seriously, and it's why I find this ad to be offensive. Even though I'm not upset, I know what this is, and that's why I'm not going to be yelling in this. I'll be laughing mostly, honestly. But the point of this is to talk about Burger King. It's for me to say it a million times. It's for you to hear it a million times. It's for you to think about burgers. And I was actually going to play a commercial to show you like what previous Burger King ads were like in its entirety, but I'll just briefly showcase it to you because I don't actually want to sell this brand, because that's the whole point. It's to drum up controversy. It's for me to talk about. It's for me to get angry about. It's for me to, because it is a gross ad, and we're going to watch that ad. It is gross, and it is, in my view, offensive, but the point is, for me as a cultural warrior, to get upset with this ad, for the opposite woke side to defend it, and it to be a news cycle for the next couple days. That's the whole point of this. It's so RBI can make more money. That's what they want, because they want to replicate what happened with Nike. Because with Nike and Colin Kaepernick, they made a lot of money. And I'm just going to leave it at that. I was about to say something else about certain despite people being an easy mark, so to say, for advertisement in this way, but I'm just going to leave it there, because I think that honestly with Nike, it was the exception. They made a lot of money. With Gillette, they didn't. I know that at the time, and I'll show you an article where they're like, no, this is going to help. This is going to be, good. It's good. It's getting the name out there. This is good. Keep doing this, because it's a fucking woke journalist who's reporting on it. And this was universally said by the opposite side of the camp. They defended this. Because they have the ideological interest, A, and B, they want to pander to corporations so they can justify their existence as a 30-something-year-old millennial that's making $20-something thousand a year working at one of these Fifth Estate fucking websites that's half a step away from being out of business. That's why they're doing this. That's why they're defending these companies. They want the money to justify their existence at their own website, and because they agree with the politics being presented. So with that context in mind, we're going to watch the ad, but unlike the Gillette ad, which legitimately angered me and offended me, this ad is actually something that is so out of whack that it's actually similar to the original ad, the original woke ad that Burger King did about the wage gap, which was called Chick Fries, and I'll show you the article here. It's one of the very few I could find, but I remember this from last year. And this just didn't go anywhere. It was people just like rolled their eyes at it, and that was it. But this was the first attempt at a woke ad to get attention. But with this ad, they're trying it again. It's a new year, and they're trying the same thing again. And I don't really know what the reaction to this is going to be. But I would speculate, based on previous attempts, this is not going to do anything for the brand. It's not going to do anything for their sales. It's not going to help RBI make any more profit and have them compete better against like McDonald's and the other big food companies. They're going to be exactly where they are now. This doesn't appeal to anyone that buys fast food. This doesn't appeal to anyone that prefers Burger King over, let's say, McDonald's or some other fast food shithole. Like, this is just an attempt at outrage marketing that it's not the Gillette ad. It's not offensive enough to actually generate real controversy. And it's also fairly inappropriate. And I've seen SJWs attacking this. I've seen SJWs on Twitter that are stereotypes that use the word yikes and that sort of thing, like just NPCs. I've seen them mocking this ad and them saying outright they don't like it. And that's who you need defending you, Burger King, RBI. That's who you need defending you for this to be an outrage, for this to actually have two sides and to generate a news cycle. You need the two sides. You need me to fight with the SJWs, but the SJWs aren't backing this ad. No one likes the ad. It's amazing to me that the actual voting ratio is positive. I'm actually surprised by that, because on Twitter, this is getting roasted, ratioed. But suffice to say, it's not a good ad, and let's watch it.
Not everybody wakes up happy. Sometimes you feel sad, scared, crappy. All I ask is that you let me feel my way.
What? This is what I mean by when I said that I don't really think they know what they're doing. Like, I get a really strong inclination that these people don't actually know what they're doing. The person that directed this. I think that they just have these vague ideas. You know what? I'll be willing to say this. I think that this was done in an office with, let's say, 6 people. And they were just shouting out ideas. They were putting it on a whiteboard, and they were, checking some, circling some, and Xing some out. And this is just what they came up with, and they, put a green stamp on it. Some mid-level manager in marketing approved it, and they just shipped it off to some director to actually film. This whole deal feels hollow to me. And that's why I'm not angry with it. It just seems lazy. And anyways, let's just continue.
Feeling blue. Kinda down.
So the question is there, Little Miss Redhead, Little Miss Flamer, are you a skank? Because that's a very particular insult. And for it to be like carved on your locker like that, I don't know if that would be what a girl would do. Maybe she would. But if you look at the actual way that it's drawn on the locker, it looks like something a guy would draw. So why would the guy be inclined to draw that on your locker and use that particular insult? Because the only people that I know that use the word skank are like preppy bros or people from like Newark, New Jersey. Like people in New York City, Philadelphia, Newark, like they use skank on a pretty regular basis, and I've met some people from there. But even people that I've met from like Brooklyn, they don't use skank. They don't say that. It's a particular kind of a preppy bro that says this sort of thing. And even in college, like in high school, no one said skank. Maybe a couple girls, they usually said slut. But this is a very particular word. I know that I'm overanalyzing this, but I just find it funny because it's like, why skank, and why would they be calling you that? Is it true? That's the question I'm getting to. Is it true? Are you, in fact, a skank? Are you blowing too many guys? Is that the problem here? Did you blow the lacrosse team? Did you suck off too many members of the football team? Was it at least the varsity team? That, to me, is the issue. I think she got passed around by some jocks. She made some bad choices, and now she's being ridiculed for it. Sorry to say, but, I mean, a spade's a spade, and a skank is sometimes just a skank. And what this is social pressure. And I know that sometimes bullying can just be bullying, but sometimes bullying is actually trying to show you that you're doing something wrong socially. And in this case, maybe you're being targeted falsely or unfairly, but maybe you are a skank. Maybe you are too loose. Loose is a song by the Stooges that I like. But in this case, you're loose, and that is not attractive. Is my neighbor really gonna mow his fucking lawn? Are you serious? Come on. Okay, I guess we're now going to be listening to my fucking neighbor mowing his lawn for the rest of this commentary. Okay, he's heading into his backyard now, I can tell. Okay, so let's continue.
Can't wait to leave this closed-minded town.
Closed-minded town? Is this like song lyrics or something? What are you talking about? Everyone's going to make fun of you for being a promiscuous skank. If you are that, it doesn't matter where you are, what town you're in. If you're a fucking whore, you're going to be mocked as such. You will not escape the fact that if you are whorish, you will be regarded as a whore. And I'm sorry, but to me, that's fair social pressure. If a guy is acting inappropriately and people say something about it, like if a guy's walking down the road with his cock hanging out, somebody's going to say something. And that's positive social pressure. That's saying, hey, put your cock away. You're acting inappropriately. You're acting unlawfully. When I was coming home from Buffalo, I had this kid run in front of my car, and he was jaywalking. I had my windows partially down. I was like, what are you doing? Get out of the street. And the reason I say that is not to just, exclaim in anger. It's to say, like, listen, you're a kid, and I don't want to fucking run you over with my car. Get out of the street. Stop jaywalking. One, you're committing a crime that you could be cited for, which I wish you would be. But two, you're going to get yourself fucking run over. You're going to get turned into a goddamn statistic. Stay out of the fucking road. Social pressure can be unfair, but I swear to God, it's one of the problems of the country we're living in now, in the United States. So little social pressure exists anymore. You know, there's so little social pressure for bad behavior anymore. Anytime you actually speak out about somebody else's bad behavior, you're shouted out as a bigot or a sexist or a racist or what have you. When all you're trying to do is typically, if you're a good-natured person such as myself and, you know, well-intentioned, you're just trying to help someone. You're trying to save someone from themselves.
My boss is such a freaking creep. I just told him to go f*** himself.
Okay, what the fuck is this doing in here? What is this empty virtue signal? White woman in the workplace is probably more angry at the fact that she's mid-30s, fucking single, no kids, and the only thing to her life is her career. And what she wants more than anything is to marry up to someone who's in, like, middle management, if not higher, because she's making 70 grand a year, but no such guy exists to actually listen to her bullshit and deal with her terrible personality. What does that have to do with her mental health? That has to do with the fact that as she has been born and bred on a decade, you know, a few decades of propaganda that has put her in the position where she's fucking miserable. What are the chances in 2019, in the current year, that her boss is actually acting inappropriate? God damn it! Go away, boomer! What are the chances that this is actually something that is real and is not just a feminist caricature of just a fantasy, not reality, a fucking reality that existed, if even then, longer than my parents have been alive. Like, back when my mother was 2 years old, maybe this was a fucking concern. But even back then, why were women in the workplace? Why were women in managerial roles? Why were they even in these office spaces? For working class women, they didn't have the option, but I swear to God, for anyone else, it's just the idea that being a workaholic spinster is actually going to make you happy. And the fact is, and I'm just going to leave this alone, but the fact is that as more and more evidence pours out from the institutions that haven't been completely corrupted, it just showcases more and more the absolute fact that with women, biology is a heavy factor for why they're so fucking miserable, and the fact that no matter how much they're propagandized to, they don't want what they are eventually, what they work for, which is being a 30-something workaholic spinster. They're miserable. And in this case, you know, what can I say other than you quit? The manager that supposedly did you wrong got you to quit. So now your company doesn't owe you a goddamn thing, including severance. And what choices do you have other than to get another job, Miss Spinster, or sue for wrongful... I mean, you can't even sue for wrongful termination, but like workplace environment, whatever. You know, some bullshit EEOC claim. You know, like, I know that this is, like, upsetting me to some degree, but it's like, this doesn't belong here. The reason you're so goddamn upset yourself is because you've put yourself in this position. Why aren't you married? Why aren't you a housewife? Why aren't you raising your children? Why aren't you doing something else? Why are you in a corporate atmosphere? Why? My mother, even though she's low on the totem pole, is in a corporate environment, and she fucking hates it. She fucking hates it. I've been in the corporate environment, and I haven't liked it, but I haven't been competing either. I've just been in the environment. You know, if I was a corporate climber, whatever. You know, it's just like, if you hate something, why are you there? If you're a middle-class woman, why are you there? Get a husband, spend the rest of your life at home, or have a part-time job. You're not bad looking. Look at this actress, okay? She's not bad looking. You're telling me she can't get a date? If she can't, why is that? I wonder why that is. I'm gonna mute this song because it's gonna get my fucking channel flagged. By the way, this chick right here, the redhead, two points real quick. First, she looks like the chick from The Breakfast Club, which I don't think is a mistake. I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that was intentional because either the person that, one of the people in the room that designed her character, or maybe just the director, is Gen X or a very old millennial. I'd probably go with Gen X. Second point is that it reminded me of this chick that I went to high school with who was a redhead. The only redhead that I can recall that was part of my class, and she was a cheerleader, and goddamn was she banging. I know it's kind of an irrelevant point, but it just reminded me of that because I had a class with her, and this one day, I only flirted with her twice, and she was kind of receptive, but also kind of not, and I believe she had a boyfriend who was a jock, and I didn't want to fucking get killed. So it just never worked out, but goddamn, I remember this one day she was in class, and she showed up for whatever reason. It was like Spirit Day or something. She was in her cheerleader outfit. Oh my God, was she fucking banging. And I mean it too. Goddamn, dude. She walked into class, and it was like something out of like Not Another Teen Movie, you know, with the spotlight and all that. I was like, holy shit. You know, anyways.
When I'm feeling weird or sappy, not all angry, just not happy.
Oh my God, this is fucking grunge music. Like, are we past the emo phase? Zoomers, because that's who this is. These are Zoomers, like high school students and shit. You're Zoomers, like Gen Z. Are you fucking serious? Are you still doing the emo shit? Like, that was one of the worst aspects of my generation. Like, the younger millennials was the fucking emos. Are you still doing this shit?
I can't believe my student loan. I'm never moving out of my parents' home.
So, with this particular scenario, it's complicated. The first thing I'll say is that if you want to move out of your parents' house, get a job. There's nothing to it more than that. Get a job. It took me a few years after I got out of college. I was with my parents. It took me like a couple months to get a decent full-time job where I became an investigator. I had a bad job, or a relatively bad job as a guard. I could have done, become an armed guard, and that would have made me actually more money than I'm making now. But it was a boring, boring job to be a guard. And so I decided I'd leave security and become an investigator. And while I can say that it has its own share of parts about it that I hate, it's not as boring, and I don't have to wear a uniform. And those are two things that I can at least appreciate about a job that I, in general, don't like. In similar fashion to my parents, when I graduated, they didn't really give me a lot of shit about moving out. Occasionally, they would try to hold it over my head or pressure me, but I think it was mostly out of fear that I wasn't going to move out. That was the fear they had. But obviously, I was correct in telling them that I planned on moving out. It was just a matter of I wanted to get a house and I didn't want to rent. And they accepted that and they just allowed me to stay. I worked. I made a lot of money. I busted my ass and I bought a fucking house. And here I sit. I'm in my own house. All this furniture is mine. Everything here is mine. I own it. It is my property. And I don't be, ooh, you got a mortgage, so technically it's the bank's. Fuck off. Everyone has a mortgage, unless you're some fucking trust fund kid, okay? Everyone has to earn enough money to eventually pay off their mortgage. So spare me, the bank owns your house. But more to the point, as it relates to this particular scenario, you're sitting on your father's couch. He's sitting there eating ice cream, watching television. Yo, that's his house. You're sharing a couch with him. He obviously cares for you. He obviously loves you. He obviously wants to protect you and shelter you. You are in his shelter. He is, in fact, actually sheltering you. And you're sitting on the couch lamenting the fact that you look like in your late 20s and you're still sitting at home. Well, you're either on workers' comp and I'm outside investigating you.
Don't do it, Randall.
What do you little hooligans think you're doing?
Nothing.
Yeah, a whole lot of nothing. Good boy, Randall.
Or you're a lazy shit and you need to get a job. Or work harder, and for crying out loud, at least rent. There are houses in my area, in the falls, that are fucking $250 a month. They're bad houses in a bad area. They're $250 a month for rent and utilities. $250 a month. You're telling me you can't afford that? I mean, for Christ's sake, I spend more than that on video games half the time in some months. Not as much anymore. Once upon a time, maybe. But you're probably spending more money on food and bullshit. You're telling me you can't afford that? So I hate this millennial, I can't afford to have my own place. Well, where the hell do you live? What the hell are you doing with your life? Even if you have student debt, what the hell did you get a degree in? I'm sorry, I don't feel sorry for someone who's sitting at home on the couch with their good father, their protective father, the father that loves them, who's giving them shelter, and they're griping about the fact they don't own their own home. For crying out loud, save some money, make a down payment on a fucking purchase, buy a house with a mortgage. With my mortgage company, and they shop around to see who will lend to you, it took them less than a day to find me a loan. Someone that approved of my credit and were willing to lend me the money. It took them less than a day. But if you're in the situation where you racked up a bunch of debt because you were a pussy hound, spent all this money, went on lavish vacations and traveled the world and did all these things that I've seen other people do and rack up a lot of debt because of, then those are your decisions. And maybe then you're stuck at home with your dad who loves you. And clearly so in this video. And we'll get to that clip and I'll bring it up when we get to it. Like, you're a fucking ingrate.
Just got ghosted. Should've known.
And you're a guy, and you're complaining about rejection? Are you kidding me? Like, I have to imagine, like, women wrote this because it's like, I'm a guy. Oh, man, I got rejected. Oh. Bro, what? Like, welcome to every day for a guy that's not married. You're a guy, and you're actually upset that you got rejected. Come on. Come on.
Pretty sure I'll end up alone.
Well, first of all, take that stupid fucking thing out of your nose, you faggot. I don't know what this is about, specifically black people. I've noticed this with black people, black females and guys. Get rid of the ugly jewelry, okay? You got this necklace that you're wearing, that's fine. I think that's some kind of hood rat shit. But, take this fucking faggot thing out of your nose. You look like a fag. Like, are you a fag? I can't speak to the fashion sense of someone who's actually gay, but bro, if you are my brother, you look like a fag. Take that stupid thing out of your nose.
They say I'm too young to raise my baby girl. Take your opinions and suck it, world.
Whoa! What? Why is this in this video? So before I actually continue, I'll roll it back and we'll watch this particular segment again.
They say I'm too young to raise my baby girl. Take your opinions and suck it, world.
So, it's implied in this that she is a single mother. Maybe I'm wrong and the father's just hard at work, but when she says people say I'm too young to have a child, are we talking about, boomers from the 60s and the 50s that had kids at like the age of 17? Are those the people that are saying you're too young to have a child? Or is what their problem is that you had a child out of wedlock with a deadbeat dad who's now gone? Is that, in fact, what we're talking about? Because it has nothing to do with your age. It has everything to do that you had a child out of wedlock with a deadbeat dad and are now a single mother, probably reliant on my tax dollars to fund your fucking life. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, she's not single. She is even married. Which, who the hell is going to condemn you for being young and being married and having a kid? What Christian is going to be like, oh no, you're too young to have that child, but you're in fact married and have a family? Like, who is going to judge you for that? Who? But let's just say, for the sake of argument, you found the one person. You found the one person on the face of earth that is going to condemn you for being in a family, having a husband, and having a child, and you're too young. Let's just say that happened. Your answer to them is, well, they can go suck it. I don't give a damn. Well, then what the hell are you doing in this commercial about mental health? You're fine. You're content. You're happy. You're good. You're emboldened. You're confident. You're not a single mother at the age of 20 who's relying on my tax dollars as an actual fucking contributor to the society in which we live. Why are you then in this commercial if that's the case? It makes no goddamn sense, and this is what I mean about the whiteboard. What is this? Why is this here? If we're going to be talking about mental health concerns, what we're going to be talking about is a white guy in a rural area who's shooting heroin, who's between the ages of 40 and 60. That's who we're going to be talking about. So I guess I'll just summarize this by saying that with this particular segment, I don't understand why it's here. And secondarily, with this smug whore, I don't like this message. I don't like that we're presenting a girl with an awful personality bragging about the fact that it's very likely that she's a single mother, when in fact we should be socially shaming her if that's the case. You might say different. You might say that my morality is screwed up, that this might be my Catholic upbringing talking. This is my mother speaking, my mother who told me to never screw around with any whores that, I'd have a child out of wedlock with. But I feel nonetheless, I believe nonetheless, that it is wrong for a woman to have a child out of wedlock, because we are living in a modern day and age where contraceptives are everywhere. There's contraceptives in every corner store, every 7-Eleven, every gas station. There's contraceptives everywhere, and there's no reason for a woman to get pregnant outside of impulsive sex that she has with a guy that she shouldn't be having sex with, because he's very likely to be a deadbeat guy who's just looking to pump her and dump her, so to say. I have to put the onus on the woman being a whore. No one's going to defend a deadbeat dad. No one. I mean, maybe you are if you're a hood rat or white trash or whatever, but where I was brought up, no one defends a deadbeat dad. Everyone sees the deadbeat dad as a scumbag. But the fact is that where I was also brought up and how I was brought up as a Catholic, I'm sorry, but I'm putting more onus on the women, because you can control whether you're pregnant or not. If you get pregnant from from impulsive sex with an impulsive bad guy who's going to just leave you, that is your fault. You are a whore. You need to actually have him wear a condom. You take a pill so that you don't get pregnant. The fact is that I don't like the fact that, unlike all the things that I pay for that are a common good, sewage, electricity, and the infrastructure-wise in terms of what's actually public, the roads, the highways, the street signs, the traffic lights, all the things that we personally benefit from, the common good, the things that we all need and all personally benefit from existing in our society. I'm fine with paying taxes to those services, to police as a service, a very, very necessary service. I'm more than willing to pay my fair share to those services, to pay it to the state, the eternal bureaucracy that spends it however the fuck they do. But I increasingly have a problem with the fact that I am paying for deadbeats. I am paying for far too many deadbeats, whether it's in New York and I'm paying towards a certain entity that pays out, claims, which I can't name, whether it's, the federal government, whether it's in my own insurance company, through my job that I'm paying into for premiums and the rest of it, that are going out, that are being paid out to deadbeats to sit on for, if it's a new claim, 7 years, or if it's before now, when they just recently passed a new law, it might be only in New York State as well, but if it was passed whenever that date was, it's forever. It's to the end of your fucking life, if you can get away with it. And the fact is that, as I've seen by investigating cases, oftentimes there are guys that can get away with it forever. Because once you're old enough, they don't even investigate you anymore. They just want you to settle. That's all they'll do, is they'll constantly pressure you to settle, but they won't investigate you anymore, with some exceptions. I had one case where I investigated and fucking built a case against a guy who was like 80-something years old. It's actually happened a couple times, but the one guy, he was out golfing, and he shouldn't have been. It's like, okay, well, I guess here you go. Get some video of him on the course playing, and there you go. He's done. He might have gone to jail for all I know. He probably just settled it, because they didn't want to send an 80-year-old man to jail over whatever they were paying him. But it's like, there's just deadbeats everywhere. And whether it's private insurance claims, or whether it's public insurance claims, or whether it's unemployment, workers' comp, welfare, Social Security, disability, fucking all of it. There's fraud everywhere, and I am sick and tired of having a huge percentage of my paycheck going to pay for people like this. Your out-of-wedlock birth and your snotty, ridiculous attitude as a whore. Outside of, let's say, Social Security, not disability, but in fact just Social Security people, 65, whatever, and disability to some extent, and also workers' comp to some extent, because probably the majority are legitimately injured. But outside of that, like welfare, food stamps, all this shit, bro, food is cheap, jobs are plentiful, we're not in a recession, your responsibility to what bad choices you've made are your own. Why the fuck am I paying for any of this? Why am I paying for the fact that you're unemployed in a good economy? Why am I paying for your kids that you had because you had irresponsible sex? Why am I giving you food stamps when, like I just said, food is fucking cheap? Food is incredibly cheap. And if you live in a bad area, I need rent controls because I live in New York City, move the fuck out. Rent Niagara Falls is fucking $250 a month with utilities. Move out of New York City, move out of San Francisco, move out of LA. I can't move. Yes, you can. Don't bring anything with you. It's not that hard to fucking move. It's not that hard to build a new life. It's not that hard to start again. It's not that hard unless you've totally fucked your life. And in which case, if you made so many bad decisions where you fucked your life, you have all these kids, you can't pay for anything, you're in all this debt, your credit is ruined, that's your life. Why should I have to pay for it? Why am I responsible for your bad choices? I should be responsible for my good choices. The only things that I'll exclude is, like I said, Social Security because you're old, or because, you've actually legitimately got injured, you need disability, or you are born disabled, blah, blah, blah. You get where I'm coming from. Not everyone is a parasite. Some people genuinely need these systems just to survive. But the fact is that more and more, I have grown tired of the fact that for so many people, and we're talking millions in the United States alone, millions of people, they are simply parasites living off the productivity of people like you and me. People that are actually being productive and are producers in this country. People that are being taxed to death to pay for these people to sit on their asses and act righteous about the fact that they've made bad decisions. But honestly, the better argument is, why is this even in this ad about mental health? I do agree, she is mentally defective. Why are they in this ad? Like, yeah, fuck you, I'm so content with my life. Why are you in this ad then? I know for a fact there was women in this room when this was actually thought up in the office space, but the fact is, are you saying that these women are lying? Are you saying that this office woman who's left her job, is quit, is actually just miserable with her life? Is that what you're saying? And with the single mom, are you just saying that she might be putting on a front of confidence and content, but is it in reality she is miserable? Because why would this be in this ad if that's the case? So we're going to stop right there, okay? The father sitting on the couch with his son watching television as he's whining, I hate that I live here with you, Daddy. The father looks at his son, offers him some ice cream. And yeah, it's gross because I wouldn't eat something that my father was spooning into his mouth just because maybe I'm a germaphobe or something. But he's still making the offer. He's still making the offer. He's still a father that thinks about his son. The gluttonous, evil, selfish father eats the whole ice cream, offers his son nothing, calls his son a parasite, insults his son. But his father's kind. His father is generous. His father's eating ice cream, sees that his son is next to him, says, "Hey, son, who I love, who I'm sheltering, do you want some of my ice cream?" How is this a bad father? How is this like, oh, he's just some bum sitting on his couch? It's his house! Maybe I'm just not enough of a woman that resents her father because I'm 35 and I'm in an office space designing ads and I hate myself, I hate my life, and I wish I was a fucking stay-at-home mom, but I'm alone with my cats and my wine because I have an awful personality. And I want to marry up to someone who's like upper middle class, but they laugh because they're the Chads of the world and can get any pussy on the face of this earth. And the fact is that they're not interested in you. One, because you're a workaholic. Two, like incels, you show signs of desperation. And three, you're a cunt. What fucking dude throws away his phone? What? You got turned down by a girl, you got ghosted or whatever it's called for like dating apps. You throw your phone away? Like what guy is that upset? What guy is that unable to handle rejection who's ever dated? You know, in my life, you know, and I admit I haven't been exactly phenomenally successful with women. But like a girl turning you down or a girl, you know, not showing up, that's really not that big a deal. He even takes the ice cream from his dad. Are you kidding me? He goes as far to, now he's eating his father's ice cream. Like, this is driving me nuts. I don't know, maybe like any time that it always involves like mothers or fathers, like I don't know, it really cuts close to home for me. Like, I really don't like people demonizing fathers because I have a father and I love my father. He's always been very generous with his time and money in regards to me. It's like, I just don't like the idea of, like, my life sucks because I'm sitting here living with my father. But it's like, yeah, your life can suck. I felt bad about myself when I was still living with my parents because it's like, here I am, almost 30, you know, well, approaching 30. And I'm living with my parents. I felt like... I felt like a deadbeat, and it wasn't a good feeling, and I wanted to move out. But it's like, only you can do that, or your parents kick you out. Like, those are the two options. And in this situation, like, your father's not screaming at you. He's literally just watching television in his bathrobe, eating ice cream, and he sees you sitting next to him, and he's like, here, have my ice cream. And you're like, okay, Dad, thanks. Oh, you know, not even thanks. Like, I'm just going to eat your ice cream. It's just, you know, sit here and pity myself as a fucking parasite to my parents. You know, oh, God.
All I ask is that you let me feel my way.
Oh! No one is happy all the time, and that's okay. If you are happy all the time, I think you might have some kind of disorder. Legitimately. If you are happy all the time. Like, I know that with myself, I am a moody person. And I can be manic from time to time. Like, right now, I'm manic. But it's like... Obviously, not everyone is happy all the time. And that's okay. It's like, okay with your fucking SJW fucking language. Like, yikes. Should that be a right reply to you? Oh my God. How cringy do you have to be to like accept the messaging of this commercial? You're a loser. You are legitimately a loser. I say that sitting back, like, hold on, let me put my feet up on my fine wood desk that I bought in my house as I laugh at you for being such a fucking loser. Oh my God. Oh my God. This is what I mean. Like, I can't really be mad at this commercial because it's bad outrage marketing. It is bad outrage marketing. Like Nike knew what they were doing, but in this way, like, bro, you're trying, but oh my God, is it pathetic. Like, this is such a failure on your behalf, but at least it was entertaining for me. I got entertainment value out of this, and I hope you watching this at home, I hope you did too. Because I'm not really sure how long it's going to take me to edit this down, because I wanted some tangents for what is like a minute-long commercial, almost 2-minute-long commercial. But goddamn, dude, like, at least when brands are getting woke and doing shit like this, at least it provides some modicum of entertainment. At least there's that. Because outside of me doing this channel, like, you know, me doing this, I don't want to listen to you, Burger King, sell me ridiculous bullshit about Mental Health Month, okay? I want you to sell me burgers. I'm pretty sure everyone can agree to that, even the SJWs, when they're, you know, when they don't think that there's a power game at play that they want to win for the sake of their own hegemony in culture. Because I've already seen them on Twitter roasting you for this. So even the SJWs can agree with me in saying that this is you failing, and you should just sell me burgers as a shitty fast food joint. But I will leave it there. Thanks for listening.